Where Kevin Durant is headed to the Houston Rockets. That's according to ESPN. It's a Rockets team that's coming off their first 50-win season since 2020. In exchange for Durant, Phoenix will receive a package that includes Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, number 10 overall pick in this year's draft.
Before Game 7 of the NBA Finals, we finally got some breaking news in regards to one of the biggest moving pieces of the NBA offseason. Kevin Durant, yes, the Kevin Durant has been traded to the Houston Rockets in what might be one of the most shocking trades of the 2025 offseason. And guys, the way Kevin Durant found out was absolutely hilarious. Look at this.
I believe that KD has been traded to the Houston Rockets.
So before we get to the content, make sure you drop, like, subscribe, and turn on our notifications to get the latest NBA news to your device. And now that we got all that out of the way, cue the intro. Last time Prize Picks gave us a free square, we were easily able to cash with a 4-man play. And now they're giving us one final free square for Game 7 of the NBA Finals. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander only needs 1 point. I'm going to post my free square pick on my Instagram page at TheFlightMike. If you haven't signed up for when you make a play of $5 or more. If you want additional plays, check out our Discord server in the WAP link in the description right below that. And thank you, Prize Picks, for today's sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? I already know what the comment section is going to say, and you would be correct. I was completely wrong. I thought the leading candidate to trade for Kevin Durant would be the San Antonio Spurs, but it's not the San Antonio Spurs that would end up trading for Kevin Durant. It was the Houston Rockets. So let's break down this trade. According to Shams Charania, the Phoenix Suns are trading two-time NBA Finals MVP Kevin Durant to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, the number 10 overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft, and 5 second-round picks. And the overwhelming reaction so far is, wow, that doesn't sound like very much to get a player of Kevin Durant's caliber. And to be honest, you're correct. So why would Phoenix make this trade to begin with? Well, Phoenix was essentially backed into a corner, and they had to take whatever they could get. And it's just absurd because given the timing of it all, Kevin Durant was actually asked his opinion on the trade the very moment it happened.
A lot of heartbroken Suns fans right now. What would you like to say? That's not true. No, literally, heartbroken Suns fan right over there. What?
I just felt like, yeah, I mean, they wanted me to go. So it's like, I'm glad we both, they got what they wanted and I got what I wanted. So we can move on, and good luck to them going forward. And I always remember my time there, but we on something else.
In order to understand this trade, you'd have to understand how desperate Phoenix was to get out of this situation. The Phoenix Suns were facing a luxury tax bill that would have been absolutely insane. We're talking about a combined salary and luxury tax bill of over $515 million for next season. That's not a typo, that's $500 million for one season of basketball for a team that just couldn't make it to the playoffs, which is a far cry from what their team owners said last offseason.
Ask the other 29 GMs. 26 of them would trade their whole team for our whole team and our draft picks and everything as is. The house is not on fire. We're in great position. It's not hard to fix. It's not like we're like, hey, we don't have enough talent to win a championship. We have enough talent to win a championship. How fixable is it? And if I read the media, I would think we have a lot of problems. But luckily, I get to spend time with the best players in the world, in my opinion.
The Suns have already paid a record $442 million this past season, and that was with Kevin Durant missing significant time due to injuries. And with a new collective bargaining agreement restrictions crushing them, and the fact that they were over $34 million over the second apron, they were basically trapped. If they didn't trade Kevin Durant, they wouldn't be able to make any other significant roster transactions throughout the offseason. And the money wasn't even the worst part. This team completely fell apart last season. They went from an 8-1 start to finishing 36-46 and missing the playoffs entirely. And that's with the highest payroll in NBA history. There were chemistry issues, coaching changes, and Jordan Ott is going to be the 4th head coach in 4 years, and honestly, this entire situation was a disaster. Kevin Durant is 36 years old, he's got 1 year left on his deal, and Phoenix knew that they weren't going to be able to convince him to stay with the way things were going. So they had to cut their losses and try to get something back rather than lose him for nothing next summer. Now let's talk about the Houston Rockets for a second. This team went 52-30 last season, finished 2nd in the Western Conference, and then lost to the Golden State Warriors in the first round of the playoffs in a 7-game series. It was definitely a huge step forward for an up-and-coming team, but it was very clear that they needed a little bit more in order to get over the hump. The fit for Kevin Durant on the Houston Rockets is remarkable. He's going to be playing with Alperen Şengün, who averaged 19 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists per game this past season. But on top of that, Kevin Durant also has Amen Thompson, who made first-team All-Defense in just his 2nd season at 21 years old. Probably the most impressive part about this is the fact that the Phoenix Suns originally wanted Houston to include Jabari Smith Jr. in this deal, primarily because a trade centered around Jalen Green wouldn't make that much sense for the Phoenix Suns. Phoenix Suns already have Bradley Beal and Devin Booker on the team, so adding Jalen Green to the roster doesn't make a lot of immediate sense. That's 3 2 guards on one roster, getting paid a significant sum of money. And as a result, fans are roasting the Phoenix Suns because they simply didn't get enough back for Kevin Durant. But given their situation, this might be the best that they could do. Jalen Green is the centerpiece of this return. And look, he's an incredible player with a ton of upside. The number one thing that has always plagued Jalen Green in his young career is the fact that he could be inconsistent and a little streaky. He averaged 21 points per game last season and played all 82 games, which is significant when you're a team like Phoenix that's dealt with injury issues. But during the playoffs versus Golden State, Green just averaged 13 points on 37% shooting. That's not that great. He got a 3-year, $106 million extension kicking in, so Phoenix is betting big that he can figure out how to translate his regular season success to the postseason. Dillon Brooks is a solid addition as well. The guy shot nearly 40% from 3 last season and made the all-defensive 2nd team in 2023. Dillon Brooks is the type of player that could fit on any team that is pursuing a championship. The Suns also get the number 10 pick in what's considered to be not the strongest NBA draft class, which could get them a rotation player, and those 5 second-round picks give them some flexibility to make moves down the line. But when you consider what Phoenix initially had to give up in order to trade for Kevin Durant, you'd understand why so many people are eviscerating the Suns for this trade. The Suns originally acquired Durant in a trade that sent Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, and 4 first-round picks to the Brooklyn Nets. And the return that they're getting now doesn't even come close to that. There's so many more question marks about their roster, which is leading some fans to speculate that the Suns don't plan on holding on to Jalen Green for very long. As a matter of fact, there's already rumors suggesting that the Suns will look to reroute Jalen Green to another team. And if they're able to do that and get some draft capital in return for him, then it would make a lot more sense. Miami Heat fans might not like what I'm about to say, but once again, they were one of the front runners for Kevin Durant and weren't able to get the job done. The Suns engaged in deep conversations with the 2 Durant finalists, Houston and Miami, over the last 24 hours and reached an agreement on the deal on Sunday morning. So why would Phoenix make this move? Well, Phoenix is saving approximately $100 million in luxury tax payments by making this move. That's life-changing money for an organization, even one that's owned by billionaires. They went from potentially paying over $500 million to actually having some financial flexibility to build around Devin Booker. Houston, on the other hand, is basically getting Kevin Durant without really increasing their payroll at all. They're sending out $54 million in salary in Jalen Green and Dillon Brooks and taking back Kevin Durant's $53 million expiring deal. And here's the kicker. Kevin Durant is eligible for a 2-year, $122 million extension starting on July 6th. If Houston can convince him to sign that, they've got their superstar locked up through his age 38 season. And probably the craziest part of all is this makes the Western Conference an absolute bloodbath. You got the Oklahoma City Thunder, who look to be the NBA's next dynasty. The Denver Nuggets still have Nikola Jokic in his prime. You have the Golden State Warriors and Los Angeles Lakers, and now you have Houston with Kevin Durant. For Phoenix, they're basically starting all over again. But for Houston, this could be a trade that wins them an NBA championship next year and could completely alter the course of Kevin Durant's legacy. I give give Houston an A- for this trade. They managed to add a future Hall of Famer without giving up any of their young core players. Keeping Şengün, Amin Thompson, and Reed Shepherd while keeping Kevin Durant is absolute wizardry. For Phoenix, I'm giving them a C-. Look, they were in an impossible situation and they got something back rather than losing Kevin Durant for nothing. I mean, at least they're not trying to roll the dice once again on the same flawed roster in hopes of sneaking into the playoffs. This roster was not worth fighting for. Jalen Green has real potential, Dylan Brooks is solid, and they got some draft capital. And if they're able to flip those players for additional draft capital, then obviously I'll increase their grade in the future. The real winners might be the fans though, because we're about to see Kevin Durant on a team that's actually built to win now. This Houston squad was already dangerous, and now they're adding one of the greatest scorers in NBA history, which means the San Antonio Spurs, who are in prime position to make a huge trade for a superstar, might have their sights set on Giannis Antetokounmpo. But let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about this trade? Aside from that, I don't know if you guys heard, but Paul George might get traded again. I made a completely separate video on that. I'm going to leave it in the end screen. I'll meet you guys there. I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.